That's the Super BS Gamescast, with shows available today on the Super BS Gamescast channel on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and the Humanican Media channel on YouTube. That's the Super BS Gamescast, with shows available today on the Super BS Gamescast channel on Podbean and Apple Podcasts, and the Humanican Media channel on YouTube. Coming up next, Josh and I talk about Year 2 of the Nintendo Switch. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. On this week's episode, we're recapping the Oscars with who won and if we got any of our predictions right. What game series needs a remake? And we say happy birthday to the Nintendo Switch by asking what can they do for an encore? All this and more as we once again delve into the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. And it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is the man, the myth, the legend at Humanican Media. You got to check out all the great stuff going on humanicanmedia.com and also their YouTube, Podbean, and Apple Podcast channels. It's Josh Peterson. What's going on, my friend?
Hey! I got one chapter left on Ready Player One. I'm into it, man.
I told you would be. Did I not say Did I not say that you would like it?
You did. But I'm like at my computer, and I'm like, I'm gonna work for 20 minutes, and I'm gonna read a chapter of Ready Player One. And that started 2 days ago, and now I'm like, I got 2 chapters left, so that's exciting.
Ready Player One is coming out, the film, later this month, but definitely if you get a chance, anyone out there, read the book by Ernest Cline first. Gives you kind of a heads up on what's going to go on somewhat with the film. There is some changes and whatnot, as we discussed previously, and we're going to discuss and delve into that more later this month as it gets closer to the film. But if you get a chance, Ready Player One is a great book indeed. Josh, I will ask you this, though. Let me ask you this. Did you think at all while you were reading it that there would be some, topsy-turvy stuff going on or some stuff that you really think was just going to make you go, and make your eyes roll as you were reading?
No, but there were some places where I was like, dang, that got really dark really fast.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that, because it does do some things that I was not expecting, but definitely was a great read for me, and it sounds like it's a great read for you. And there's one chapter left there's just a few pages left for you with your outstanding book that's coming soon to bookstores near you. Congratulations, You Suck. Is that right?
Right, I've been working hard on it, so it should be done. Like, it should actually be all done by the end of the week. So I just gotta send it off to a few beta readers, and then when I get it back, I'll make the changes and send it off to the publisher, and it'll be available for purchase shortly.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, definitely here within the next few months. So people check that out when it comes live. Congratulations, You Suck, by my good friend Josh Peterson. It's going to be a great show we have for you guys today. It's going to be a great show we have for everyone out there today. We've got Rob McCallum standing by in the Cosmic Crossfire. He's going to be talking some Star Wars stuff that really hits home for him. In fact, also hits home for me as well. And we'll touch on that here in a sec, because there were some really emotional things for me to say as far as during our conversation on that. Plus, later in the episode, Josh has a great thing going on with the Super BS Gamescast, and the guys are going to check in with their thoughts on the March game releases later in the show. Plus, we'll also be talking what are the games that we want remade the most, and then also happy birthday to the Nintendo Switch. Year 2 is now live for the Nintendo Switch, and we're going to talk about what they need to do to keep all that great momentum going on later in the program. But first, Josh, the Oscars have been awarded. those gold little statuettes are now given and in the hands of the people that are partying right now. And you called it, my friend. Definitely a great movie indeed. The Shape of Water by Guillermo del Toro. That won for Best Picture. Best Actor was Gary Oldman. Frances McDormand for Three Billboards won for Best Actress. Best Supporting Actor was Sam Rockwell. Allison Janney for Best Supporting Actors. Best Supporting Actress. The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro won for Best Director. And just so many others to talk about. Coco for Best Animated Feature. Best Original Screenplay was Get Out. Best Adapted was Call Me By Your Name. Was it? Yeah. Call Me By Your Name. And, well, we thought it was going to happen. Best Cinematography, Roger Deakins finally won after 13 tries, I believe, 12 or 13 tries for Blade Runner 2049. So many things to talk about. Visual effects, Blade Runner 2049, that was hands down the winner as well. We're so happy about that, which we love the film so much. But your thoughts on the Oscars, who won, and do you think there was any upsets? But pretty much it was what Vegas called. I'm out here in Vegas. It was pretty much the odds-on favorites were actually the winners at today's program.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm not a huge fan of the Oscars. I don't believe that a panel of voters should be able to tell us like what movies are good and what movies aren't good. But that
Well, but you did predict most of them. I will say that.
I predicted who, like, from an objective view, I predicted who I would have voted for, and it seems like I was right for the most part. But that being said, I'm glad, like, hey, Sam Rockwell, glad to see he got something. Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro totally deserved that. And like I don't think that what Jordan Peele got snubbed because he won three awards from the indie from an indie award show the night before.
And I think Golden Globe as well, but also he did win for Best Original Screenplay, which is definitely a great award as well.
Yeah, yeah. So he got something and he deserves something. But okay, see, like sound editing, like so Dunkirk won two awards. They got sound editing and sound mixing. And like I totally agree that the sound editing they should have won that, but as far as like sound mixing goes, I would have given it to either Baby Driver or Blade Runner cuz Dunkirk did have great use of sound, so they deserve that. But like, as far as the mixing goes, there wasn't really anything there besides the tick, 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 that kept going through the entire movie, whereas Blade Runner actually used it to Blade Runner and Baby Driver both use their sound.
Yeah, with that Blade Runner 2049, and then you told me last time that with Baby Driver, basically the songs and the way it was mixed in told the story.
Yeah, they were in both of those movies, the sound was integral to the movie. Whereas like Dunkirk, it was just there was just the ticking. Like that's all. It's not like, yeah, it built suspense, but at the same time it didn't like leave you you could have taken it out and still like it would have been a decent movie still. So it wasn't like integral to the rest of the film, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, it did, and Dunkirk did win 3 awards, and congratulations to Christopher Nolan and his crew for that. But you're right, Blade Runner 2049 with its 2 awards. Still, we thought it should have won more. Should have been eligible for more because we think it's such a great film. Baby Driver, with its unique storytelling and integration with the music and songs that are so, like you said, integral to the plot, should have garnered more consideration as well. But for the most part, you hit on virtually every one of the top categories. So congratulations, you two. Congratulations to you. You got to come to Vegas here next year and see if you can go ahead and put some money down on that. Cause there you go.
The Oscars wants my resume. They can reach me at humanicanmedia@gmail.com.
There you go. Exactly. But I'll tell you what, it was a very, I would say, not uneventful, but something that was not actually, it actually went pretty much as the norm, as expected. No real surprises or anything of that nature. So I guess in that sense, it's a very solid Oscars format this year. There was nothing out of the ordinary or anything like that, which I guess sometimes I like the surprises myself. But hey, the best, according to the Academy, the best nominees won, and my power, and more power to them, and my congratulations to them as well. What are your thoughts on the Oscars? Did you think that there was some better films out there? I mean, Josh and I will tell you again, like we said on last week's show, Blade Runner 2049 should have been the best picture of the year, but I know a lot of other people have different ideas on what should have won for best picture, who should have won for best actor, best actress, whatnot. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Josh, I know you also got a chance to check out what's going on with the box office. And after another $60 million weekend here domestically, it is now very close worldwide to a $900 million take. In fact, by the time most people hear this, it will already be over that mark. So I ask you, with all that going on with Black Panther, where is the stop? Where's the end in sight for this awesome, awesome movie and this great tribute to everything from Marvel?
Infinity War.
Well, there you go. There you go. But
No,
I even think it might even actually do some kind of money. It'll do some small amount of money just before Infinity War, and maybe even during Infinity War. It may actually even have legs into May.
okay, well, here's the thing. All right, so Thor Ragnarok hits Blu-ray on Tuesday. So you have a you take that and you if you were one of those people who likes to watch all the Marvel films, you like to take like 3 days and just watch marathon them all, then that puts you in a perfect position to go check out Black Panther one more time before Infinity War comes out. So yeah, there's plenty of people out there, and I'm sure like even at like the Cinemarks and the Edwards and stuff, they play those marathons before you can watch the key films from the different phases of the Marvel universe. So
Because you can no longer buy one ticket to get to entire marathon right now. Nobody could really last that long.
yeah, that's a long day, but no, it still stands to make some money, and there's still going to be a niche. We're going to see because it's going to keep going. It's going to earn less and less each weekend until Infinity War. But I think that the weekend before Infinity War comes out, we're going to see a small spike in it again before it fizzles out.
Just to rehash, just people can catch up, get up to date with it, and see it again to keep it fresh in their mind before they go into Infinity War. I have an idea that I have a suspicion that it's going to do that same thing as well. A lot of people are gearing up for it. We're going to gear up for it. I will tell you later this month as we head back into our countdown to Infinity War later this month. So definitely look out for that when it comes on our shows, both on the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse. I want to ask you this. There were other movies that debuted this weekend, one of which was Red Sparrow. Actually did slightly better expectations wise. Uh, it is the film starring Jennifer Lawrence as a Russian spy who gets involved with an American spy, and all that good stuff happens, and people back and forth, betrayals and all that. Almost like a bad death match in Halo. But anyways, I will ask you this, betrayal, betrayal, betrayal. Well, I will ask you this. Jennifer Lawrence, to me, she seems a lot like her and Matt Damon. They still both have a lot of star power to their name, and they're still able to get a kind of decent opening, no matter how bad the movie is, or no matter how polarizing the movie is, like last year's Mother for Jennifer Lawrence. Although with downsizing and also as well Suburbicon, maybe Matt Damon does not have the same kind of power he once have. What do you think can get both Matt Damon and Jennifer Lawrence back into the good graces as far as film audiences are concerned, and get back into those really, really big hits we're accustomed to seeing them in? Because Jennifer Lawrence's last really big thing is maybe the X-Men or Passengers. I don't know, whichever you would probably say first.
Okay, so it's this is a sad conversation because it's like these days you can't, like, once you're in a franchise, you're considered on top of your game. And then once you get out of franchises, we're seeing a lot of big name actors kind of have their careers fizzle out because, Chris Evans is a good example. Like the work that he's done outside of the Marvel films, brilliant, love it. But critics don't love it because he's not carrying his Captain America shield around. So we see these big name actors getting out of big franchises, especially superhero ones, and then we don't really hear from them anymore. Like after Ben Affleck quits Batman, how long before he fades into obscurity? Granted, he's a great filmmaker, but it's just, is he going to?
Does he have any Argos left up his sleeve?
Right, right. Any Argos or the Towns, but is that? Do we still have that, or Gone Girl? Are there any? Is there any of that left in him?
Well, it's just weird because when these actors like Jennifer Lawrence and Matt Damon, they can score big with The Martian, and like I said, with her Passengers, or also some choices that she had previously when she was really hot with the Hunger Games scenario, right in the middle of that mix, and she was doing films there. I think it's also the choices that they make when they get some of these scripts. Do they go for cash grabs, or do when they're reading these scripts, are they really looking at them as far as, hey, maybe I can really make this translate into something big, or am I just really going for the cash and just basically trying to get something now and not looking at far and later? With Matt Damon, I don't know what just is going on. He's just not making really great choices at this point in time.
Matt Damon's kinda all over the map. He's been, downsizing, Suburbicon, those are all movies that I don't know if, like, he was friends with the director or the producer or
Well,
what's
George
going.
Clooney.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, I don't know what's going on with that. Matt Damon, like, I honestly can't sorry. I honestly can't remember the last thing that I remember him, like, being really good in. I can't remember the last time I walked out of a Matt Damon movie and I was like, "Dang, that was."
Well, The Martian, and then also obviously the Last Born movie was his, I think, last big hit. Were those two?
Right. So yeah, The Martian was a good movie, and even like the last Bourne movie is arguably good. It's not like I wouldn't like label it good, but it was not my favorite Bourne movie.
Well,
But
once it went to Las Vegas, it went into the toilet,
yeah, yeah,
literally.
yeah. um, I think the story's a little different with Jennifer Lawrence because she seems to go after these art house picks. So she likes the Darren Aronofsky stuff. Like Mother was a total artsy film. Red Sparrow, total artsy film. I have no desire to see Red Sparrow. I'm asking, I ask people, I'm like, hey, do you want to go see Red Sparrow, or are you interested in seeing Red Sparrow? And they'd be like, only because I hope to see Jennifer Lawrence naked in it. And that's like that, and that's sad to me. Like it's a movie that looks like it could have some depth to it, but like all they want to do is see, the sexy parts. But um I don't know, I just don't have any desire to see it because I feel like it's one of those movies that's like, it's gonna confuse the crap out of me, and I'm just not gonna there's gonna be too much backstabbing, it's not gonna make sense in the end.
I hear you on that. It's just, I think these actors and actresses just got to step out of the realm when they read these scripts and get these proposals for films and say, you know what, I understand it's a starring vehicle, but really, when it comes down to it, is this something that's going to connect with audiences? Nobody has the right answer 100% of the time. I get that. I get that. But these actors and actresses who've been doing this for a while should, when they see these projects come about, they should pretty much understand what is a good bet and what maybe is not so good, or when is the movie being placed at what time of the year when it's finished. Is there a guarantee it's going to go at the hot summer season, or is it going to go where in the spring or the winter where it's kind of off and on or touch and go as far as whether or not it can be a success? I don't know. To me, it's kind of strange that these actors and actresses sometimes when they with the choices that they make, because all it takes is just one or two to finally just go into oblivion. I mean, we talk about Geostorm. Look, look no further than that. What's his name?
Gerard Butler.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you, Gerard Butler. Look at that. Yeah, he's now doing that. He's now doing just B movies. He did that latest cop drama that came out that just vanished out the theaters almost after its first weekend. So definitely it's kind of, I don't know, once you lose your star power, it's very hard to get back. And with the choices that some of these Hollywood stars make, that it's kind of very head scratching indeed.
Let me ask you a question. Do you
Sure.
think that instead of going for these big studio, artsy picks, air quotes for those of you listening, um, do you think it's probably because the studio guarantees them money? But how well do you think I feel like a lot of these actors and actresses could flourish as far as, like, acting goes in, like, the indie circuits, you know? I might be crazy in thinking this, but, like,
But
you
then, yeah, because all it takes is one Academy Award, and then boom, they're right back to the top of the class.
yeah, so, I mean, you're sacrificing, creativity and a chance for you to actually show your talent in exchange for a guaranteed paycheck, and I think that's where a lot of these celebrities shoot themselves in the foot.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. It just sometimes, like I said, they're very short-sighted in the way they see things and the projects that they take on. What are your thoughts out there on some of these Hollywood stars and the projects that they take? Do you think that they just go for money grabs most of the time and bank on their, well, bankability, and in order to secure these roles, and just go ahead and eschew whatever good plot devices that could be had somewhere else, and just go for these movies that on the surface don't seem like good ideas at the time? Share us her thoughts, Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, like I said, it's going to be a great episode. We've got Rob McCallum standing by in the Cosmic Crossfire. Also, as well, we've got the guys from the Super BS Gamescast, including Josh Peterson, coming up later in the broadcast to talk about March game releases. It's going to be a great show indeed. But first, we got a good man. We got our good friend Plasma Z. He's here, and he's going to be he's here with a great song. It's Plasma Z. You can get his great stuff on SoundCloud today. This is Supernova, one of my favorites, and this is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We thank you so much for sticking around and enjoying the program. Well, Josh, we got a lot of great things going on. And before we announce our schedule, again, just to get everybody updated on all the great places they can get our shows, want to say a big welcome to IPM Nation. That's IPMNation.com. You can catch all their great radio programs there, IPMNation.com, including the Pop Culture Cosmos, which is now going to be on at 10 p.m. Eastern Monday, and the PCC Multiverse on Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern as well, 7 p.m. Pacific. Both days, got to catch those shows there on IPMNation.com. If for some reason you can't catch it there, we're on Sundays. We're on Good Talk Radio, 7 p.m. Eastern. Sundays, we're on Good Talk Radio, and also as well in the UK Airwave Radio as well. Mondays, we're on Croc Radio, Grey Cloud Radio, and the Podcast Radio Network. That's how we got to Podcast Radio Network, our first and original home right there. So got to thank all those great radio stations. Plus on Tuesdays, the Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting Network. Wednesdays, Grey Cloud Radio. Thursdays, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting again. Fridays, it's Croc Radio, the Podcast Radio Network, Grey Cloud Radio, and Western Reserve Digital. Podcast Radio Network and Grey Cloud Radio. And on Saturdays, Grey Cloud Radio. And again, on Mondays and Fridays, we're also going to be on IPMNation.com. So all those great online radio stations, we're on 7 days a week now. I can't phrase this better. We're now streaming 7 days a week on online radio, and we're so proud and we're so happy. And we hope you get a chance to enjoy our shows on one of those great radio stations. If you want to download our shows with extra bonus content, you just have to go to Gonna Geek, GonnaGeek.com, the ESO network, the Tangibound Network, Mixcloud, Google Play, Stitcher. There's over 20 different downloading networks, including the Pop Culture Cosmos channel on Apple Podcasts. Josh, you've got a great thing going on with Humanica Media. So bring us up to date with all the great stuff at Humanica Media.
Well, it's funny you asked, Gerald. Yeah, so we have a new episode of Topicocalypse dropping today. I had the privilege of interviewing Kevin Goatee, who you've heard on the Pop Culture Cosmos show. He was a fun guy to talk to. And then tomorrow we will be dropping a new episode of What About This? So go ahead and check that out. This episode has to do.
Can you do that intro again? So I'm sorry, because I think I was drinking water right on mic. Sorry.
Jeez. Yeah. All right. Well, it's funny you asked, Gerald. We have a brand new episode of Topicocalypse dropping tonight. Not exclusive, but we got an interview with Kevin Goatee, who has been on the Pop Culture Cosmos shows before. Fun guy to talk to. He's got a lot of good stuff going on. Tomorrow night, we'll be dropping a new episode of What About This? I don't actually remember what the episode is about, but I remember it was really good. So, it's about Disneyland and what happens to people's minds when they go to Disneyland, and how not wanting to be at Disneyland might indicate a lack of imagination on your part. So it's actually a pretty good episode.
Well, it doesn't help when the prices keep continually going up.
No, it doesn't. But like, I guess, you go in there and you find people who like they are incapable of escaping, because Disneyland does a great job of basically putting you in another world. And you have these people who like to go sometimes, and they're just incapable of visiting those worlds. They're in their minds, they're thinking about what they're going to do when they get home, or like they're tired of the crowds, or like, I hate lines. They're incapable of enjoying themselves at Disneyland. And we talk about like whether or not that kind of person is the same person that will like sit in a movie theater and say like, there's no way that would ever happen. No, science would not allow something like that to happen.
Okay. But I also know that that sounds like, not me, of course, because I enjoy myself. I'm a kid at heart, but I have been at Disneyland, Universal Studios, the whole 9 yards. I've been to all these places, SeaWorld and whatnot. And yes, there have been individuals such as that at every single stop. So definitely got to check out that episode. But I also know you spoke to recently someone that we also talked to and interviewed at the Pop Culture Cosmos, and that was Muggsy, Australia's #1 rapper. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we had a little. Actually, we meant to have a short conversation, but then we ended up having a long one after I found out that Muggsy was a fellow comic book fan. So we talked about X-Men, we talked about Batman, we talked about Superman, we talked about Star Wars, and then we finally talked about hip hop. So you can check that out too on the Topicocalypse Podbean page and podcast.com and iTunes. And then to round the week out, we have the Attack of the Humanicans show on Tuesday. If I remember correctly, we got moved a time slot, correct?
Well, that was just for that week because it was an extra overload as far as extra time allotted. So I think you're back on 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network.
Okay, there you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. And that's all we got going on this week.
Well, that's definitely a lot indeed. And you can check it out all on humanicamedia.com and all their great channels. Josh, I know a lot of great stuff has come out lately within the last or current generation in regards to remakes and reboots as far as that's concerned. I know I just got a chance to see Turok 2, The Seeds of Evil. I sent a friend who's a longtime Turok fan news that came out recently from Night Dive Studios. I want to ask you, is there a property that has not been touched yet that you think is deserving and in need of being rebooted or remade in a better fashion? I don't want to say rebooted, but remade in a better fashion, a reimagining, maybe upgrading graphics, 4K stuff like that that you think a lot of people would enjoy?
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember, way back when on the original Xbox, there was a game called Advent Rising, and like they had planned a massive trilogy around this game. And I know some of the developers went on to create Mass Effect, but that is a game that I would have loved to see come to fruition. Like that was a the first time in a long time that I had sat down and I was just in as a kid and was just obsessed with a video game from start to finish.
I will say this: I know them best, and a lot of longtime gaming fans know them best as the one who tried to actually have a contest with $1 million prize. I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah, it was yes, I think I remember something about that.
It was either 100,000 or 1 million. It was a very substantial, large prize. I don't know if it ever got distributed or sent out because I know the company did suffer from a lack of sales, and it did not actually. The game suffered from a lack of sales, and it did not actually materialize as a top of the line game. But I don't know if they ever ended up distributing that prize. But it was something that was being advertised, and I was like, wow, okay, they really have a lot of confidence in that game.
Hey, it was a fun game. I mean, I don't maybe the marketing wasn't done correctly or what, I don't know. Okay, so my next another game I would like there's 2 games here and these ones are more retro that I would like to see on modern consoles. I would love to see Golden Axe upgraded and put on a modern console because I think that that could end up being like a really cool, Borderlands type uh fantasy game. You have 4 players jumping in at the same time, going around things, kinda like a new version of Gauntlet, but I just remember being able playing Golden Axe where I have a video up of me and, Chad from Hyperschmidt playing it this past weekend on the Sega Genesis.
I saw that. I saw that. But what's funny is that you were talking about a new style of gauntlets, and unfortunately, a new style did come out in the recent past, and it didn't strike well with audiences.
Did it? Of go oh, Gold Gauntlet, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, there's a time and a place for it, and I think, if we ever get back to an era of like couch co-op gaming, then that'll be something that might be worth looking into. And another one that I would love to see is Streets of Rage. I've always had a soft spot for that franchise. There aren't any like as far as if you were to make that into like some kind of 3D platform or something, not 3D, but like a game in terms of like the same styles like Tomb Raider or Uncharted, but you're just kind of going through the streets of LA. There's nothing like that on consoles at all, as far as I know right now, where you're just picking up trash cans and chucking them at people. Like I would love to see that. And normally I would say Spyro the Dragon, but they sort of made an announcement. So um, there's that.
There's that indeed. And for mine, I've got just 3 words for you, man. Just 3 words that says it all on a game or a game series I would like remade or reimagined, or even just done right as far as in a proper context and built up to today's standards. It's 3 words: Mass Effect trilogy. Hey, EA, you need to do it, and you need to do it now. Sorry, noise. I know, and there's tables moving back and forth, chairs moving back and forth. Hey, EA, you need to do it, and you need to do it now. So that's all I need to say in regards to that. I know Josh has a lot of great ideas on gaming reimaginings as well. What are your thoughts on remaking video games? Is there a game series or a game that you want remade? Share us your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanic Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. When we come back, Josh and I, when we come back, it's the guys from Super BS Gamescast with Josh here leading the way on March game releases. Him and Brian and all the gang are going to be sitting down talking about it. And then right after that, Josh and I are going to be talking about Nintendo Switch. Happy birthday to it. Oh my gosh. Happy birthday to Nintendo Switch. We're going to be talking about what they need what they need to do in year two to make it as just a successful year for year two as has been for year one. We're going to be talking about that right after the break. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be on right after that. Oh my gosh, I phrased it all wrong. All right, let's go from this. Coming up right after the break is the guys from the Super BS Gamescast, including Josh right here. They're going to be talking March game releases. And right after that, Josh and I are going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch in year two and what they need to do to keep all that momentum going. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos with Gerald Glassford right here for you from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate it, along with my good friend from Humanica Media, Josh Peterson. Josh, we got to send out our birthday wishes to Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch. It is now 2 years old, my friend. The terrible twos. So I ask you, Josh, what are some of the things that Nintendo needs to do to keep all that momentum going? Because Nintendo Switch is currently the best selling console out there. In fact, it had one of the best first years ever in recorded video game history as far as sales are concerned. What do they need to do to keep that momentum going? And what are some of the things that you're looking for in year two of the Nintendo Switch?
It's a good thing we're not on any platforms on the Nintendo Switch, or else we would have had our listening time erased.
That is true. I saw that. Almost like the millennial, almost like the millennium clocks. Everybody was freaked out that back in as the clock turned to
Two.
year 2000. That my dad, especially, he was, uh, God rest his soul. He was gonna get freaked out about everything, freaking out on his computer or whatnot. In fact, he was trying to see if what he could do to get more info and get more interest into that, but it didn't really come out to fruition, thank goodness. But
Everyone was like super panicked about that. I remember that as a kid.
yeah, and but unfortunately, they didn't know anything about the Nintendo Switch in year one. A lot of playtimes got jacked up for at least for now. Although I know Nintendo is working on a fix.
Um, yeah. So for Nintendo Switch, things that I would like to see. I know we're not going to be able to see a virtual console, but I would like to see a way to purchase old games. Like if we want to play them, maybe like some of the classics that were on the Wii or the Wii U.
And that's a shame to me because the virtual console is one of the best things about the Wii, and a great reason for people to go ahead and get more involved with the Nintendo Switch.
Right, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we were to see some sort of Games Pass happen with Nintendo where you can have access to all those old games for a monthly fee, or maybe even if they just open it up on the eShop and we could repurchase like Secret of Mana or something like that. Um, I would love to see in the coming years, or not year, but yeah, in the coming year, I'd like to see some kind of Square Enix game on the Nintendo Switch because as of right now, unless my memory's deceiving me, we don't actually have any Square games on the Nintendo Switch yet. There's supposed to be the Secret of Mana ver- Switch version supposed to be coming out, and I don't think that ever happened. Right now I'm just excited to see where it's going. I'd love to see Pokemon come out before the year's over. Maybe some kind of there's not really besides Mario Kart, there's not really a lot of racing games, but yeah, I right now I don't have any complaints about what they're doing. I think they're doing things the smart way, and the Nintendo Directs are a good they're a good idea. I know they need some kind of big name to get them through the year because everyone was surprised that we got a Zelda and Mario game in the same year. So I guess, I'm wondering like right now, what are they going to use to carry them through 2018? There's a Metroid game coming out and a Donkey Kong game, but the Donkey Kong's a remaster and we don't know when the Metro game's coming out. Or Metroid game's coming out. So it could be, it could be this year, it could be next year, it could be 2 years from now. I'm wondering what flagship series is going to carry them through the rest of the year.
And that's the question I have is because, like you said, Zelda, Mario back to back in year one. What can they do for an encore? It's going to be very hard. In fact, let's put it this way: they will not be able to bring out a Zelda and Mario one-two punch like that this year by themselves.
No, I know they're already developing the next Zelda game, but, those games take 5, 6 years to finish, so, yeah, who knows?
Exactly. And Super Smash Brothers, I know that entity, it will probably be revisited and revised in some form or fashion as far as either new edition or revised edition, just, onto the Nintendo Switch. That I could see happening. But I think the clear thing that they need to focus on for year two is third party. And they need to have all these publishers really start embracing the Switch and realize that it is the best game in town right now. The PlayStation 4, that ebb is starting to flow a little bit downward, although it's still selling strong. That the Xbox One is just really not going to pan out as a top of the line, number one selling platform. So it's time that a lot of these publishers that maybe were hesitant to really start utilizing that formula with the Nintendo Switch and see what they can do to provide the Nintendo Switch consumers with some real quality games, either ones that they put on there that have already been released or ones that they will make specifically for the Switch, or do a day and date with the Switch along with the other Xbox and PlayStation platforms. Obviously, we've seen the success of what Bethesda has done because they were early adopters and they were very smart to already go on the Switch and have some of their top titles already on there. It's just a matter of time before we really start seeing a lot more EA games, Activision games, and 2K games and so forth, really taking advantage of the platform and really going ahead all out on it. If RDR2, Red Dead Redemption 2, actually gets on that platform day and date release, that would be a major win for the Nintendo Switch. And I really think it would send a message out there that the Nintendo Switch is the player right now in the game as far as the video game market is concerned. So to me, year two should be mainly about third party and trying to embrace it even more and get their customers a lot more great third party, not just independent games, which they get a ton of right now, and a lot of great
Real quick
download.
on independent games, do you think that they're getting over flooded with them? Because there's over I was reading something over like 200 indie titles already available on the Switch. Do you think that's a little too much?
Well, I think that it might be a little bit too much because then you're going to get it to a point where it is like the Wii, where you have a lot of shovelware and you have a lot of independent games that are really not good, trying to blend in with those indie games that are good from the past 2, 3, 4 years with that did so well on either other platforms or the PC consoles, or the PC computers. So I think really this year boils down to what can the Switch do to embrace the third party initiative with some really heavy duty AAA third party games coming to that platform, because I do not think no matter what they announce they're going to have actually the same kind of financial first party year this year as far as games are concerned that they did last year with Zelda and Mario.
Yeah, no, I agree. A part of me wonders if that was a good idea to put those both out, but then I look back and I'm like, that was a truly great year for video games. So, uh, and everyone was saying that Nintendo is playing their cards well and they're being smart, and we'll see how smart that move was when things start to slow down for them this year. Because what I'm curious about is Nintendo going to have the same kind of year that they did last year? Not in first party titles, but just in terms of sales.
Well, the one thing that we haven't talked about that they still have as an ace in the hole is bundles. They haven't bundled yet. They haven't bundled yet. So really, at this point in time, they still could throw out a 299 bundle with a Zelda or Mario and really, really give everyone out there a run for the money as far as video game console sales are concerned. So I think that's an ace in the hole that they still have up their sleeve.
I feel like bundling though is not something that you do until you absolutely have to. Because it seems like there are, I don't know, because with even with like a lineup, you still have the rumored Pokemon game coming out. Like they could, if they could somehow get that out in time for the holiday season, that could keep Switch on the map for another, at least until December.
Well, you don't even have to necessarily do it with Zelda or Mario, but they, even if it's just a Splatoon 2, even if it's just something like that, or ARMS, or Arma, excuse, is Arma or Arms?
Arms.
Okay. Even if it's just ARMS, then at least it's something that they're throwing in there that makes it even more attractive for consumers. And if they're even showing any signs of slowdown, they could just throw a console out there with a bundle, and I think sales would be responding accordingly. So, but like I said, it all comes down to me for this year. What third-party games can they offer that consumers really, really want to make, that will really make it attractive for consumers? What are your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch in year two? What are you think? Do you think they're really going to be successful? Do you really think they're going to be as successful as their first year, or do you see signs of a little bit of a slowdown until they can recharge with some really top of the line Nintendo games? Or do you think that a third party killer lineup is the key to success in year two for this awesome console? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. So, Josh, we've come to the end. We've come to the end of a great episode. Want to thank Rob McCallum once again for being in the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire, and of course, Josh, cannot thank you enough for you and everyone at the Super BS Gamescast for sharing your thoughts on the March game releases. Any last thoughts on the way out?
Yeah, we are going to be streaming some Halo here coming up. So, we're doing it in anticipation of a possible Halo release announcement at E3. If not, it's still a pretty sick game and we might feel kind of foolish afterwards. But here's to hoping we get a new Halo, and check out our live stream. Gerald will let you know more details about that on the old Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page when we get it all figured out and scheduled.
Absolutely. And it'll also be shared onto our Game Source Facebook pages and also Humanica Media on Facebook and Twitter as well. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself, I'm getting dizzy here, a great day.